Alright folks, welcome back to the Land of the Weird and a series I have no idea how to name, but I'm having fun with it, so let's dig in again and look for the weird and unique in the world of video games. I know last time on our first episode, I waxed poetic about arcade games, and the experiences along with the uniqueness that can be gained by a custom-built cabinet, meant to bring you a truly unique experience, if a bit of a hostile one. I'll just leave a link to that one below for those of you who are curious. However, today I want to take a different tack and talk about a rather unique experience that's gained just by being on a console. Now, this isn't to say that you should go out and race to play these games, just that they're unique and interesting ideas that people have made throughout the years. So with that said, let's talk about Takeshi's Letter of Challenge, shall we? Now, this is a really unique game, which is kind of what drew my eye to it in the first place. The premise is simple and oddly appealing, given it follows a despondent man named Salaryman, which we're clearly not into subtle messaging here, as he seeks to find the hidden treasure on an island. Now, it's a simple concept, and one that creator Takeshi Kitano came up with in, well, while he was getting drunk at a bar, if you believe some reports, or an hour-long talk at a cafe near his production company, if you believe another. Honestly, my money's kind of on a bit of both, because this idea is just too weird to be fleshed out by someone who was particularly sober in my mind. Now, Takeshi was kind of a unique guy, and a very talented one at that, being a massively popular comedian/actor in Japan, who's most well known for his series Takeshi's Castle, which for those of you who don't know or at least recognize it, was a game show in which contestants would compete in a series of bizarre physical challenges. It's almost one part Ninja Warrior American style or Japanese version, and one part Wipeout, which came out much later. So I imagine both took some inspiration from this game show in particular. He would also go on to be a famous director whose movies had a lot of dark undertones and just bizarre humor in general in them. He's also one of around 3 people ever to receive the Golden Lion Award, which is a prize at the Venice Film Festival for contributions to cinema. That award's been around since 1949, by the way, so yeah, Takeshi's kind of a big deal. However, as to the game, let's give you an idea of how weird this game is. It starts with you beating up the old man who gives you the map, divorcing your wife, resigning your job, and then going to the local culture center to learn new skills before heading to the island to search for the treasure. If you fail to do any of these things, you can lose the game. Your boss or wife can show up and send you back to Japan, the old man can show up and steal the treasure you went after in the first place, or you can just not have the skills needed to find the treasure. All will result in a game over screen. While doing these objectives, you're basically moving around a side-scrolling stage where you'll randomly be attacked by Yakuza for reasons. Look, this game's kind of off the rails. You recover your health by drinking tequila or crashing out at the hotel in Hibata Island. One of the only options that makes sense. It also made use of the Famicom's mic system in the controller, as you could reportedly sing karaoke in the game, which used the mic. It just did all sorts of weird stuff. On top of these bizarre conditions you have to meet in the game, it also plays out a lot like a point-and-click adventure game that got scrambled in with an action platformer. Let me explain that part just a bit. Now, the basic gameplay has you moving around fighting various different Yakuza thugs by punching and jumping. However, there are buildings that you can go into where there's tasks that you have options to do. This will bring up a dialogue window, right? This will give you a list of options to choose from, and some of them will just straight up result in a game over screen, like not divorcing your wife when you go home, or not learning guitar at the culture center. They may not hurt you immediately, but they do later in the game, and the game lets you make these choices and carry on with your gameplay. On top of this, you can basically punch out anyone you want, even from the continue screen where you're given the option to end your game, resume, or punch the guy you're talking to. Punching him ends in a game over. You can pretty much do this to anyone you meet, either through dialogue or just straight up knocking them out. Basically, this game was GTA before GTA was ever a thing. The problem with this is it's, well, brutally punishing. It's a massive trial and error and a bit ahead of its time, leading to a lot of frustration from reviewers and players alike, who labeled it as kurosugi, or a crap game in English by Famicom magazine, and is often referred to as one of the worst video games of all time. Most people would have never have played it. at least not until recently, until 2017, when it was only released on the Famicom up until this point. Then it would go on to be released on iOS and Android in Japan. So anyone from America or other countries curious to try it may just be out of luck, and maybe that's a good thing. However, what do you guys think of this one? Did any of you ever have a Famicom and get a chance to play it? Did any of you see the iOS or Android versions of this game? And if so, what did you think about any of them? How are you enjoying the new series so far? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, if you haven't, please give this video a like. And if you're not, consider following the channel. That helps me out a ton. Until we meet again though, have a great rest of your day and happy gaming.